All
Sounds
right.
good. All right.
Should we get started?
Yeah.
All right. What is up, guys? Nasir here, and welcome to the KharmaKast, a podcast where I just kick back, chill out, and have a relaxed conversation with creators I admire. Today, we're joined by Rachel Southard. Rachel, of course, a medical student studying in the United States. She's amassed over 170,000 followers on her YouTube channel. We've been friends for quite some time now and have given each other some advice about YouTube-related things. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Welcome to the KharmaKast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Honestly, I feel very honored, so thank you.
Thanks for accepting to come on. When I was thinking of who I wanted to have on as a first guest, honestly, you came to mind immediately. Because we've spoken before, we've had really good interactions. I love watching your content, and I was like, who better to have on as this first conversational long-form piece of content on the channel. So thanks for coming.
Thank you. I feel like we've been friends almost from the very beginning. I can't remember our first interaction, but it feels like I've kind of grown with you, and although you're exponentially growing, which is wonderful, I feel like we're just kind of
We are.
Yeah.
We're exploring YouTube and growing as creators together, both in numbers, but as people, and understanding YouTube as a space and as a platform and things like that. I should have looked this up before, but I was trying to find when we did our collab together, because obviously we don't live in the same country, but we still managed to do a collab, which I think was quite genius, actually. We didn't meet up in person, but we still managed to involve each other in our content. I thought that was pretty cool.
I think I was sick that week, and I remember I was like, I'm gonna watch some of his videos, and then we ended up doing our little collab, which was nice. I'm glad that we did that.
Yeah, same. And I'll never forget, because I remember dying of laughter when I saw it. When you posted your collab, you were watching one of my videos in bed, and I was making coffee out of a French press. And you commented on my French press, you were like, ew, because I hadn't cleaned it. It was dirty. It had some coffee on the inside. Very embarrassing. And honestly, since then, I've always thought about cleaning my French press before I film it in my vlogs.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I don't want to make you self-conscious. I love French press. French press coffee is amazing. I, for some reason, have not had the time to make it. I just go with the Keurig, easy.
Yeah, I see you do your Keurigs in your vlogs. I have a similar machine. It's the Nescafe Dolce Gusto, I think. The convenience of capsule coffee is like nothing else. Even though it tastes very different, doesn't quite have the same kick, the same feel. Have you ever tried a mocha pot?
No. What is that?
So a mocha pot is kind of like a French press, except the bottom is made of steel, and you put it straight on the stove. And so the water boils through the coffee powder at the bottom and then condenses down from the top. And it's amazing. It's so, so good.
Definitely going to have to try that.
Yep.
It sounds great. I definitely love a good quality cup of coffee, but then at the same time and just whatever's easiest. I'm like, okay, whatever works. It's fine.
Yeah, but not instant coffee, right?
Right. Actually, I recently, since I don't have an espresso machine, I watched online. It was a TikTok through Instagram.
Okay.
And this ex-Starbucks barista said that if you buy instant coffee, you can make a really concentrated, tiny shot of it, and it's basically espresso, and you just pour milk over it with ice, and it's kind of the same thing. So. Oh, yeah.
Fair enough. I've had mixed experiences with instant coffee. Now when I was on placement in a city outside of London, I was doing instant coffee because I didn't want to take all my equipment with me. But I find it's the one coffee that can give me heart palpitations. And I know you get heart palpitations. Actually, I was watching in your vlog this morning.
Right.
And it's the scariest thing in the world. You're oh my God, something's actually wrong with me.
Right. I'm like, this is it. Every time I get a chest pain, anything like that, I
start going through your differentials.
The beauty in knowing so much, but also the downfall is, and by all means, don't know everything yet, but we're just oh, this is it. All right, there I go.
Absolutely. I know how you feel. I see you've got your bike in the background.
I do.
How do you study while cycling?
I've made this a habit for quite some time. I started doing this a long time ago where gyms were open. I'd take my iPad and do lectures or Anki, whatever, watch stuff while on the treadmill. And so I got in the habit of being able to just do both, and I feel more focused when I'm just stuck there and I can't go anywhere else.
Fair.
And so I got the bike because the gyms are still closed, and I was just like, this is perfect. Put my computer on here and just go and focus, and it works out really well.
Fair enough. I had a couple of friends who did it as well. So like, it's not the first time I've seen it, and it definitely sounds like a good idea. I guess I need to give it a try. I haven't tried it, so I can't make a judgment on it. But I just picked up a set of weights from Amazon now recently because I don't see the gyms opening anytime soon. And if I just keep running forever, I'm going to lose every last bit of muscle mass that I have, and I'm going to become a stick, and that's just not okay. So yeah, I'm starting to get back into home workouts. But it's difficult to motivate yourself.
What was that?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I had been meaning to ask you. I think the last time I talked to you about exercise, I was doing a lot of yoga, and I was asking you to try out yoga because I didn't think that you had done it before, right?
Yeah,
and
that's
I
right.
wanted to follow up with that, and if you've practiced or tried it in yoga.
Putting me on the spot, eh?
I know.
I think last time we had that conversation is because I saw you do like a handstand in your room or something like that, and I was like, damn, that's so cool. I want to learn how to do that. So I haven't done yoga. However, there is a like half compromise here. I have been doing exercises for my neck and for my back, which I don't know if they count as yoga. You know, you move, you hold the position for a bit, then you move back, and you have to be really aware of sort of how you're holding your body and your different limbs. So we're halfway there with the yoga, but I haven't done it properly.
Fair, very fair. But you know, we got to start somewhere.
Yeah, it's true. Tell me if I'm right. Have you started studying for step 1?
Yes, I have. I started actually in my first year. I kind of got taken under the wing of some second years. And so I just ended up kind of on their path, but obviously way behind. But they just had lined me up with, you need to do this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, okay, I don't know any better. Let's do it. So yes, I've been studying, and you studied for it too, so you already know the whole thing.
Yeah, I feel that on a deep spiritual level. It's, oh my goodness, it's so difficult, and it's hard to kind of grasp how much of a process it is before you get in it. But I'm really happy to hear that you found somebody else or other students who you're like following in their path, because I feel like that really helps, having somebody to bounce ideas off of and, you know, double check that what I'm doing is okay. For the UK listeners who may not know what the step 1 exam is that we're referring to, it's sort of the first of 3 big med school exams. Well, now 2 actually. But the first of some big med school exams that you need to take in order to practice medicine in the US. That's correct, yeah?
Right.
And yeah, I wanted to ask you like how you've been finding it, how's studying going?
It's been difficult. Our curriculum, because of the whole COVID thing, they've crunched it in a way where we still need to do our hands-on part with, as a DO student, we have a particular part of our curriculum, which is OMT, osteopathic manipulative therapy. And it's a whole hands-on curriculum. So we need to know those skills so we can be a DO and use that in part of our treatment if necessary. So our curriculum has been kind of crunched into this front end and loaded on, like front loaded, so we can go in person. Actually, in a few weeks, we'll be going back to crunch the OMM and relearn our in-person physical exams, I guess, to be an actual physician or a competent doctor when we actually go out in the field.
Are these physical exams like an abdo exam, neuro exam, resp exam? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, we'll be doing that part. It's called, it's our clinical skills lab, and then also that OMM component where we learn soft tissue, HVLA, muscle energy. And so we will be going back in a few weeks to do that. And so trying to have our curriculum with more or less 8 hours a day of heavy lecture, and then also trying to dedicate at least 2 hours to study for boards per day has been really challenging and very draining. I'm just sitting here all day. Really heavy. You know the whole thing. I saw your study videos.
Yeah, I definitely know. It's tough, and it's so difficult adding. It's so tough studying for an exam like that when you already have medical school going on. You know, if they were 2 separate events and you kind of just had free time to do them, then it would be a different thing. And I feel very blessed in that when I was studying for my step 1 exam, it was the summer period for us here. So I didn't have to worry about medical school lectures. I didn't have to worry about going to the hospital or anything like that. The downside for me was that I was doing the whole thing in like 4 or 5 months, whereas most students take like over a year to study for the exam. So I felt like it was really, really crunched for me. But yeah, you're saying that you have to go back and you have crunched all those physical exams. So what is the extra component from the osteopathic medicine that is the hands-on physical component that you were talking about?
Well, what do you mean by that? The OMM or OMT, we have all of our hands-on treatments that we need to learn. And then also, like you were saying, the clinical skills that we have, like the neuro exam, abdominal exam, all of these physical exams, we've learned last year, and also we've done them through Zoom as a telemedicine form this year. Yeah. But they want to make sure that we actually know what we're doing when we go on rotations when we start in July. Yeah. So definitely need to practice that because telemedicine is a little different.
I wanted to ask, how do you learn and perform physical exams via telemedicine? Because that's something we haven't done here. Our OSCE exams got cancelled, both last year and the one we were supposed to have now in February. And so I'm here, without that extra practice from those exams. And I was kind of hoping they would try and replace it with something like telemedicine. So I wanted to ask, how is that being taught through like a computer?
So it's very much like telemedicine. However, when we get to the physical exam part, luckily our school has created a module where it's as if we were in person, but you have to basically search through, do I want to inspect first? Do I want to auscultate? Which part of the body do I want to look at? When do I need to listen to the heart? Where? And so it very much simulates being in person, but also not being in person.
So you have to click through all these things?
Oh,
yes, it's not a verbal instruction? Like there's no one listening to you on the other end?
Yes, there is a standardized patient sitting there, and that's where we do all of the HPI and all of that part. And then we say, we're going to start the physical exam. What questions do you have before we get going? And then we talk through the physical exam as if we're in person. And like, I need you to take down your gown so I can listen to your heart. Stethoscope might be cold, all of that stuff.
Okay, so all the standard stuff, yeah.
Right, but we wrap it up more or less like it's telemedicine. And it's been a really cool experience because it's so important, telemedicine now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And practicing to connect through someone through a camera is so much different than being in person. And I've really enjoyed it. And yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I really hope we get something like that going on here as well. Because as someone whose practical exams have been cancelled twice now, I feel like we're missing that practice and that pressure from an exam to get us to study extremely, extremely hard. It's different when you have the pressure of an exam and you're just studying for your own knowledge and for your own learning and following a rotation or something like that. So yeah, I'm hoping. I'll keep my fingers crossed, but I won't hold my breath. I need to start doing it myself.
At least you've been in person and doing rotations. I cannot wait.
That's true. So you guys haven't done rotations at all?
No, we have our rotations our 3rd and 4th year.
Wow.
So this is all preclinical since it's a 4-year curriculum, 2 preclinical, 2 in rotations.
Okay. That's something that I really appreciated about the UK medical school system is that in my 2nd year, I was doing a placement at a general practice. And from day one, the doctor literally said, you sit in the doctor's seat, this patient is coming in, here's their name, their age, blah, blah, blah. And like you run the conversation, you run the consultation. And I was just barely a 2nd year medical student. I did not know how to, go through with that. But that early experience and that early exposure, I think, is really what helped me learn. Because, reading from books and practicing with your Winnie the Pooh teddy bear or my hedgehog, like somewhere up there, it's only so much. Once you go out, that's where you get all the proper practice in.
Right. Winnie the Pooh's actually, I don't know if you could see him. Oh no, you can't see him in the camera, but he's definitely been lacking with his, he hasn't been getting any healthcare lately because I haven't had to do physical exams in person. So he's kind of like, where's my healthcare, man? So.
Genius idea, by the way, because I used to do like cardiology exams on my chair. I would do it like this to mimic a human. But yeah, having some sort of doll is key. I'm gonna include that in a future video.
Perfect. Yeah, a lot of people that have talked to me, they're saying that they've bought their own teddy bear to help them, and they're like, it helps. It's perfect.
Genius, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Speaking about recording videos, I feel like I know this, but I want to hear it from you, from the horse's mouth.
Okay.
What is the story behind the red ants and the red ant army?
Okay. All right. So this goes back to, I think it was not this most recent winter, but the last winter.
Okay.
And things were hard, just school's hard, adjusting to being a first year medical student at the time, very difficult. And my mom is my go-to person that I talk to for advice and support. And she's amazing. And so I had called her and I was having a really rough time. And she was like, Rachel, what, like, your red ant, what are red ants like? They're hardworking. They're independent. They never give up, and they just keep going no matter what obstacle. You know, if a raindrop falls on the concrete, they just go around and they just, they kind of scatter for a second, and then they continue what they're doing. And they're pretty indestructible. I was reading about them compared to, I don't know, ant terminology, but the regular average ant. They're very tough, and they just are so persistent. And so she's like, you're a red ant. That's what you are. And I wrote that. She was like, write it on a Post-it note, put it where you can see it so you can remind yourself. And it's kind of interesting, an ant of all things, but people underestimate the strength of ants, and they just keep going. And so I kind of like to identify with that. And we've all taken that into our identity almost.
I think that's so heartwarming, and it's honestly kind of an inspiring story. I really like that. I really like that, and I've realized that your audience also really connects with this idea of being a red ant and feeling like a red ant. I love reading YouTube comments on like everyone's videos, and so I always see in your comments that people are saying, "I'm a red ant, you're a red ant," this and that. I think it's really, really cool.
It is so heartwarming to see how strong people really they take it to heart, and it is a part of them, and that's so important. And that's why a lot of the reason why I keep doing this, even though we are so busy, we just keep coming back, because I see how it impacts people. And there's nothing more, and I'm sure that you can relate to this, there's nothing more that you want than to help other people if you can. So if people find comfort in knowing that they're a red ant and they can identify with this, then by all means, absolutely, I need to keep sharing that message with people. Yeah.
That's really powerful. How do you feel when you realize, or know that you're having this type of impact on other people? Other people are finding serious value in the things that you say and the content that you produce. You're having a real life impact on somebody across the globe who hasn't met you before. You've never shaken hands. Yet somehow, they look up to you and they're so excited to watch your videos. They say, thank you very much. You've helped me do X, Y, and Z. How does that make you feel? How do you process those sort of emotions and feelings?
Oh, I'm an emotional person. I feel like so many people know that, and that's what I'm kind of known for. But when I step back and think about this, because it's easy to go about our day and not remind ourselves all the time, because it's a part of our normal life now. But I take a step back frequently and realize all that's going on. And I'm kind of like, this isn't very average. This isn't very normal. And it feels so, it's mind-blowing. I can't fathom that this is my life still to this day. And it feels so good to know that I'm able to help someone in each way. And my whole thing is that people come back and tell me, you helped me do this. You did this for me. You helped me get up in the morning. You helped me get into medical school. But I have to remind everyone all the time, and even myself, that it does not come from external stuff. It's all from within you. You were able to do that. And it means so much to me, and it is so motivating and rewarding to see people realize their full potential and to keep going and know that they have it in them. And it's amazing. It feels so good, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. I like that you said that you sort of take time to sit back and reflect and think about, what's actually happening and what the impact is. Because the reason I asked you this question is I was recently asked this on another podcast that I did with a friend from medical school. And I told him that I really struggle to identify with this person that people refer to as Karma Medic. When they say, Karma Medic, you've helped me get into medical school. Karma Medic, you've kept me positive through my cancer treatment, or you're helping my son who's going through some very intense physiotherapy for something. I find it hard to identify with who this Karma Medic people is that people hold so highly in their eyes, I'm just Nasir. I'm a medical student. I love making videos and I love sharing them on the internet. And that's kind of like the extent of where it goes with me. And so to hear these types of things from other people who, again, I haven't shaken hands with, I haven't met, I haven't seen their face, it's amazing. And it's hard to process, but it's really humbling. It's really heartwarming. And it, like you said, it keeps us coming back and makes us want to continue doing this. And as cheesy as it is, in air quotes, like helping as much as we can with whatever we're doing.
Right. And when I'm posting something and you're in it, or if I'm talking to you and people know I'm talking to you, and even interacting with, I don't like to call them subscribers. I just like to call them family or my herd, because they're just family to me.
That's such a
and
good
talking,
collective word. I need to come up with one.
One of my subscribers or my friend, Brandon, actually came up with that, which was it was cool. They're so creative. It's amazing. But speaking with them, they talk to you, and I'm sure you've experienced this in a way where it's, oh my God, Rachel, oh my God, you've responded. I'm like, of course I responded. I'm a normal person. And I would hope that, I want people to know that I'm very accessible to them. If they need me, of course I'm going to be there. And even if time is limited, I'm going to make the effort to be there, because I'm a friend to you. I'm not some internet unaccessible celebrity star, because that's not what I am. And I'm not in the scale of that, but a lot of people I feel that response, in a way.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, she talked to me. Well, I'm a person, and of course I'm going to talk to you. Like, I love you. so make that time.
Yeah, I really feel that as well. And I've always said, I mean, like, there's so many components to making these YouTube videos and everything, but one of the biggest components with me has always been interacting with the people who watch the videos, talking to them on Instagram DMs or responding to emails or whatever. Because that's kind of what puts this into perspective. Without that interaction, it's kind of like just throwing everything into the void. And like reading a comment is different than like replying to it, or if you don't read the comments and you just let them compile on your video, but you don't respond to them, it's so much different. You don't really get that same understanding of what the impact of your video has been.
Right.
Okay, so one of the things that I've written down here that I wanted to talk to you about was vlogging in medical school. And more specifically, how you balance vlogging in medical school and attending and being in medical school. If it has any effects on your life, your mental health, personal relationships, anything like that. Because I know I definitely have some thoughts on this as well, but I want to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked this. I've actually been struggling with it a little bit lately, because there are so many things that just keep happening in my life, and just as everyone's life, random things happen, and it's hard to balance both of them, because I feel very much this is my duty. Both are my priority, medical school and YouTube, and putting out this content, because it is a part of me, and it is therapy for me in a way to document my life. But there are moments where I have to stop, and picking up the camera every day and showing my life, whether it is good or bad, it can be very tiring, because the work never ends. And in a way where I fell into vlogging, I tried to do sit down videos like how you do it. I'm like, maybe I should do more sit down medics, sit down medics. Did you hear that? Sit down medics. I'm thinking about you, but
it's funny because I understood what you were saying.
Yeah, and you're like,
Yep.
I want to do more. I want to do more sit down videos, but that's not how. I don't know. It just didn't fit for me. And vlogging I really enjoy, but then it has gotten to a point where I'm studying and working all day, and then when I'm done studying, I pick up the camera. And so when am I having a moment for myself? So taking that break, and sometimes if you don't get enough content in the day, you're like, well, if I don't have content, I don't have a video. And so then I used to give myself the weekends off, but now that we're studying all day, or I'm studying all day for STEP and lecture, I don't really get the weekends off anymore with studying. Well, I never did, but with studying or vlogging, because I need the content. And so it can be very exhausting, but I will have to take that day off and recoup. And I do read the comments for that inspiration and motivation, and the to know that it's not a job. This should not be a job. I'm doing it for myself and for other people, you know?
Yeah, two things that you said there really resonated with me. The first of which is that the work doesn't stop. And then the second thing is that this should not be a job. Or at least for us, it shouldn't feel like a job, hopefully. I mean, it is a job for a lot of people, but hopefully it shouldn't feel like a job. What you said about the work doesn't stop, and I was realizing this in the later months of 2020, just before I took my break now that I'm on from YouTube. You won't believe this, but my camera just died. It overheated.
You're kidding me.
There it goes.
No!
Right. Give me a second.
Okay.
brief interruption. We'll be back. Anyway, at the risk of going off topic for the rest of the entire video, I'm going to take us back to before my Sony camera betrayed me. And I was talking about... Yeah, I was talking about kind of why I took my break recently now in January. And the reason is that I got to this point where I was posting my video on Thursday at 8:30 in the morning, like I always do. And I was really happy, and I was checking the comments, and I'm like, oh, how did the video do? Let me check it out, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe not even 2 hours later, I would be like, okay, what's the next video? What should I start recording? What should I think about? Should I start scripting? What thumbnail is it going to be? Like, literally in 2 hours. And then that's it. You know, my mind would just be occupied with video ideas and what to do and what to film. On top of, you know, the stresses that come with being a full-time medical student, traveling a lot, commuting a lot to the hospital. And so, yeah, I just got to this point where I was like, this is starting to feel like a job. And as I'm sure a lot of people can relate to who are listening to this, when something is a job or feels like a job, it just sucks the fun out of it. And so I didn't want to go down that path. And I said, you know what, maybe it's better that I take a break, I step back for a little bit, and then I come back fresh. And so that's what I decided to do.
I commend you for doing that. I wanted to take breaks, and you know part of us saying over and over, it's not a job, and it's not, but at the same time, you look at, I'm afraid to fall off the YouTube algorithm. It's a huge fear of mine. And I'm scared. I want to take a break sometimes, but then also a part of me, even when I upload, say, a study with me, which is kind of, to be honest, a filler video for me when I need that break. I will commit the few hours to sit in front of the camera, even though it kind of is draining to film study with me, because you're just being watched, and you're much in a different environment, in headspace at least. And I will put that filler video there so I can have that break. But also I feel so almost incomplete at the same time if I'm not sharing my life, because I don't know. I get in this weird spot. And
yeah, because you do a weekly vlog every week. And that is really tough. For anyone listening who thinks you just like point the camera at yourself and you talk and you have a good old jolly time, like, there's so much more that goes into it than that. You know, it is a draining process, and it takes a lot of thought, a lot of energy. And yeah, it's difficult. And so, like, for me on my channel, I definitely don't vlog every week. And the videos that I do in between my vlogs, most of the time, are because I'm taking a break from vlogging. Like, I find vlogging to be a really, really intense experience. Like, I was vlogging this entire last week that just passed now. And looking back, I recorded 430 gigabytes of footage. It's in 4K, not 1080, so that obviously makes a difference. But still, like, 430 gigabytes is ridiculous.
Right.
And looking back on it, I'm like, Nasir, you literally recorded every single thing you did in your day, like minus peeing, okay?
Right.
Like, why did you do that? You know, you're gonna, that's so much more than you needed. But you kind of, I'll speak for myself. I kind of get in this zone where I'm like, everything that I do, I'm like, oh, this would be good to film. And that becomes hard to balance with, let me just do this thing, and this would be good to film. This would be good to share. And so when I've told myself I'm vlogging for the week or for the day or whatever, I tend to over film. And then later in the edit, I'm like, I'll cut things out. I'll build my story in the Final Cut Pro, whatever. But it results in this week of really feeling drained from filming everything and showing and thinking about shots and angles and transitions and this and that. It makes for a good video.
Right, exactly. And your vlogs are treats. And since you don't upload vlogs regularly, and the amount of content that you have gotten from that week, quality, high quality, very, it just sucks you in, the vlogs. And as much as I wish I could be like that, since I've fallen into more of like a vlogger category, I don't know how I would be able to do that. And you're right. You have, you have this mindset of, okay, this would make for good content. Or the second I'm going to go downstairs, I'm like, I should probably bring the camera, and I go back and grab it. Yeah. And you can't have that moment. And then also you're worrying, or at least doing this on a weekly basis, you're worrying, what is the thumbnail? What is the main part of this video? Do I have that moment with the camera at least that makes this vlog purposeful? Since I do it every week, because it could be very repetitive sitting in here. But do I have that main event that the vlog kind of surrounds around?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
it's easy to just film things around you and what you're doing. It's very difficult to film that and put it into a concise 10 to 15 minute video that's actually entertaining to watch. Like, those are two completely separate things. And yeah, it's just, it's a lot more. I've never been one of those people who thought YouTubers like had such an easy life and they just make tons of money and do nothing. I've never been one of those people. But at the same time, before I started filming myself, I did not understand how much goes into building a channel, building an audience, creating a community, and just being constantly present online and sharing your life online. The great thing is that I enjoy it very much. And, you know, I've been making videos for long before I started posting them onto YouTube. And like editing is my true passion, and sort of making a video, like filming myself and vlogging has sort of come after that. And so I'm so happy that I enjoy it. And even with my level of enjoyment, I reach these periods of intense difficulty and stress and things like that. So yeah.
Absolutely.
It's difficult.
It just comes with the territory. It's just, and I see even YouTubers where this is their priority, this is their job, and they get burnt out because it is around the clock. You don't go to the office and then you come home and that's it. It's oh, this is my office, and also I use my computer for editing, and also I use it for medical school lectures all day.
Absolutely. Kind of like going to the hospital is like going to the office, and then you come home and you have homework from the office because you need to read up on what you just learned at the office, plus balancing this thing on the side. And like I say all this, and I'm probably complaining, but at the same time, I'm definitely happiest when I am busy in this way. And like I called my girlfriend the other day and I was like, Lex, like I think I'm experiencing a lack of motivation. What do I do? Because I was on the bed and I was like scrolling through Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and I just didn't want to get up and do my to-do list, which is genuinely like a foreign feeling for me. And I called her and I was like, Lex, like what do I do? I think I'm experiencing demotivation. And so I like to keep myself busy, and I like to do all these things because that feeling kind of stresses me out. I don't want to be in that. And I know obviously not everybody is like that, and that's completely fine. I'm not advocating that or anything. It's just what works for me and what makes me happy personally.
Right.
Yeah, sorry. Were you going to say something?
Oh, no. I just said yes.
So yeah, I like to keep myself busy was the point of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely takes, and by all means, we're not complaining, but we love what we do and we really wouldn't have it any other way, but it definitely takes a certain level of discipline so you can do your to-do list, and so you don't get sucked into either or, and you have a nice, hopeful balance, healthy balance, and it's balance. That's all that it's about.
Yeah.
But definitely takes a certain type of person. I want to know how you balance your relationship amongst all that you do.
Oof. Have you ever dated in medical school or university or?
Yes, I was in a relationship in the beginning of medical school, and that did not work, and that was my extent. It was very hard to balance. I found it very difficult.
Do you think it didn't work because of time commitments?
Time, and my partner at the time did not understand. I didn't feel that he's not in medicine, and so it was very difficult for me to adjust, but also have him adjust at the same time. And it was overwhelming, and it was unfortunate, but I think it was for the better. For the better. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think what you said there is really, really important, and I don't know if it's most important, but something very important is that you understand your partner's time commitments and your partner understands your time commitments. And I think within the scope of that, there isn't really a way you can go wrong, you know? Like there will be times when I'm too busy to like fulfill my needs as like a quote unquote good boyfriend. But, you know, acknowledging that is a temporary period of time, that is not my conscious decision because I don't want to spend time or give time or whatever. And that, you know, at some point in the future, this is not going to be the case. I think is sort of what really helps in the understanding aspect of that. And then the other part of it is I find extreme value in having my girlfriend. I care about her very much. She helps me through pretty much anything that's going on in my head. She is the only person who I'm able to open up to really on like an emotional level. And so, yeah, as robotic as it sounds to say, I find a lot of value in having a girlfriend. What I'm trying to say is that I care about her very much. I really, you know, we were a very good fit, and I don't know if I could do all these things without her. That's also like part of the equation, you know. So yeah, I've sort of, I'm gonna touch wood 1,000 times, but I feel like yeah, please do. I'm a super knock wood type of person. But yeah, I feel like I've sort of struck this balance where it's just working really well. And so
that's perfect. That's your person.
Yeah.
And that's great. Side note with this like knocking thing. I do this thing, and I've done it since middle school. I call it the karma clap. And it's, you know, but I go like, I do this thing and I knock, and then I knock 2 times.
What?
Two after I go like this.
So you clap your hands and then
weird? So I go like this.
Is this a TikTok dance?
No, it feels like one, and I knock, and then I knock. That's my karma clap.
So this is what, to erase bad karma?
Yeah, so anytime that I think of something bad or say something that is doubtful or something that karma could come back, I'm like, no, I'm going to undo that. I'm sorry. You know?
If you guys are listening to this audio only, then you're in for a bit of a treat. Check out the video.
Such a weird thing I do. I think that's one of the weirdest habits that I've taken with me over time.
I think it's really important to have something like that, you know? I think it puts you at ease. You know, like
I have this.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I was going to say, when I'm in a car and I can't knock wood, I will like look at a wooden object, like a tree, and I'll like use my hand to like air knock it, you know, just to make sure like I've knocked that wood.
That's so fascinating to me.
It just brings me peace, you know, and then I can move on. I don't have to think about it anymore.
That's cool. We all have our little things.
Yeah.
That is definitely one of them. Oh, okay.
Okay, I feel like we're running out of time and I have infinite things to ask you. I want to talk to you about Anki.
Oh.
I hear you dabble with the Anki.
Why do you say Anki? It's a sin. Oh.
You say Anki?
No, Anki, yeah.
How do you pronounce Zan King?
Anki. Ew. Zon King. Ooh, I've never said it.
You've never said it?
Zon King.
Zan King.
Oh, I never say it like that. I don't know.
How do you pronounce that fish that swims up the waterfalls? very strong fish that swims up waterfalls that the bears are always catching.
Salmon?
What? Salmon?
Salmon? No.
Salmon?
Salmon and almond.
Almond.
So almond, not almond, and caramel.
All right.
I don't know.
Well,
Anything.
caramel. That's a first
Caramel.
for me. Caramel.
Like
caramel? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like caramel.
Okay.
Okay, what was your question?
So Anki.
Oh, yeah.
I hear you dabble with Anki. Tell me about Anki, because I saw you post something on Instagram the other day, and I think you were saying you had like 500 cards you had to get through or something like that in a day?
Not even. It was over 1,000. And
over 1,000?
Yeah. I don't know if people listening, if you know about Anki, there's tons of videos about it. It's
just
very
block your
hard
ears
to follow.
for this part.
Yeah. It hurts. It's this commitment with this program where you learn through it, and
it's for masochists, you just want a little bit of pain every day. Just open up your due cards and bang through them.
It's that toxic relationship that you keep going back to every day until you finally learn that it's enough. And I can't wait to be done with it. But doing over 1,000 cards, and that's because I'd make my cards from lecture.
Okay.
And I use pre-made decks for board studying. And then when you're doing all of that at the same time, you get over 1,000 cards a day. And I know people who do 2,000 cards per day. I personally don't find that sustainable for myself, so I keep it very limited. But it drains me to know that my first thing that I do in the morning, other than have coffee, is just do Anki, and I can't do anything else.
How is that even possible? You know what? When I wake up in the morning, if I start thinking about something, I'll tell myself, no, Nasir, don't think. It's too early. You just woke up. Don't use your brain yet. How do you wake up and do Anki with your coffee? That's mad.
It hurts, and I wish it weren't this way, but I've made it this way, and I keep going back because I see the result, and it does serve me very well, and I wouldn't keep doing it if it didn't work for me. But
okay, so good point.
It hurts.
You use Anki, and you see results from it. So tell me how you get around the problem that I found with Anki, which is that I felt like it provided me with no context to the information I was learning. I was memorizing facts really well. But ask me to explain the next sentence after that fact or the previous sentence, and I wouldn't know it. So how do you just know every single sentence via an Anki card? And so you filled in the gaps? How does it work?
I think that's important for you to establish off the bat is, am I learning these for quick facts, or am I learning because I understand what's going on? And this quick recall fact, it's like a semantic network of everything that revolves around it. And that's how I see it, at least. I'm able to go through cards so quickly because I understand them. And if I don't understand, if I'm like, why did I just say that this is the answer? And all of a sudden I've learned this card, but I forgot the mechanism. Right. Then I have to stop and understand what's going on. And then I will bring that card back to see it the next day, so I'm reinforcing that concept again. But I will not blindly answer cards just because I know them.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense to me. So you already know the material decently well and understand what's going on, and now you're using Anki in order to memorize the finer details and those BS questions that come up on tests.
Right.
Okay. So that makes sense, right? I've always said that for me, flashcards work when I'm learning something like biochemistry, immunology, anatomy. Those are the times when I'm like, okay, let me use flashcards because I literally just need to remember what the receptor is that binds to what ligand and whatever. But yeah, okay, that makes more sense. But I feel like people use Anki as their core studying technique practice, but maybe they just have more info on their cards. I don't know.
It is very much my core, but I also do my note taking to reinforce the background and the bulk of things. But the way that I design my cards is that I will have all the information in the extra part of that card. So I'm able to still read about it. And knowing that that's one group, one thought, it works. And it doesn't work for everyone. If you're doing it the wrong way, it definitely won't work for you. You just have to know, you got to try it out, see if it works.
And what's your longest streak of doing Anki cards every single day?
Oh, this literally hurts. I would have made it for 365 days last year.
Okay.
But I missed one day because I had an exam that day and I forgot to do my cards. I forgot to do at least one card. So I have...
If you had just done one, it would have counted?
Yeah, but it counted as me not missing a day. And so I have this white box on last year's streak. So right now I'm probably at least over 300 days consecutively since the start of this year.
All right, you're close.
Last year, but still, I just, the whole year of Anki, that one day I'm a failure, you know?
That's difficult. That's really difficult.
It hurts. It's okay. It's all right. I'm almost done. After step, I'm probably going to abandon Anki.
Nice. Yeah. Now that I've come into my 4th year and after my step 1 studying, I feel like I've eliminated the need for writing notes again. Like I just copy paste notes from whatever question banks I'm using and I read them to refresh my memory and then do questions. I've eliminated the handwritten note taking thing because I feel like
I can't.
So when I'm trying to test myself on something, handwriting is very, very good. But as far as taking a lecture and making handwritten notes on it, like I'm done with that life. I'm Xing it. I'm Xing it out.
Are you? Oh,
do you know how many notes are in my Notability? Like, honestly.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh my goodness.
Zillions.
I'm surprised that my right hand isn't twice as big as my left with how much like handwriting I've done. And I'm sure a lot of people do as well. And yeah, it just takes a lot of time to learn via rereading your notes. It worked great for me in my undergraduate degree. It was all I did, and I did pretty well. It worked very well for me. But yeah, now with like going to the hospital and then everything else, I found that it's taking too much time, and I don't need it. So I can get by with what I'm doing.
You don't need it. Right. And I don't go back to read my notes so much. It's just, I think the act of writing it, I'm writing it in my brain at the same time.
I agree. The act of physically moving your hand and writing it, I think helps a lot.
Definitely.
Rachel, a bit of a more serious topic that I wanted to ask you about. I wanted to ask you about if you've noticed any, how do I word this correctly? If you've had any adverse experiences due to the fact of being a woman in medicine. And the reason I bring this up is because as a man in medicine, I feel like I've never had an experience like that. But I have heard from some of my classmates, and I have seen and heard doctors firsthand make comments that I think are definitely not okay and not correct for, the world and the time that we live in or ever, but especially not now. So I wanted to ask you if you've had any experiences like that and sort of how that might affect you.
So yeah, being a woman in medicine, I can honestly say that the most, I think before being a medical student, when I was shadowing a male physician, I did get comments from him basically saying that I would never make it into medical school. And because I'm a female, and that was very hard to hear. And I know it was very difficult to hear, but that motivated me actually even more to not to prove to him, but to prove to myself that being a female is not an obstacle, and it should not be an obstacle at this point. But also to know that when I become that physician, I would never, ever say that to another person, regardless of whatever. And it was very heartbreaking to hear. But other than that, I think the most amount of the reminders that I get that I am a female in medicine is some of the more, I don't like to say hate comments, but constructive criticism that I get on some YouTube videos, especially because of my level of emotion that I have and not being afraid to express that. How are you going to do this? Like you're a crybaby, you're a female and you're crying. How are you going to be a doctor? How's anyone going to take you seriously? And I do think about those questions, and I don't get a lot of criticism like that. And when I do, though, it does hurt. And I've talked to you about this before and how you deal with that. But to be honest, I understand from myself that when I used to work in the hospital and working directly with patients, I'm able to control my emotions because it's an entirely different field. Completely different. And so if anything, and I've said this in videos, that emotions, I think, help me. And it helps me be a regular person and to people to know that I am human just like they are. And I can understand and I have the capacity to feel what they feel. And I think it's important. And I think that definitely has been the only thing that I've really gotten from people about being a female in medicine, aside from emotional in medicine.
I'm happy you say that. And, you know, it is the off comment or experience that I'll hear about where, you know, something bad has been said. So I'm happy to hear that. And, you know, the comments you're making about being really emotional in your videos, you know, like as cheesy as this sounds, I genuinely think that that's a very brave thing to do. And I think because everybody watching goes through those types of emotions, and some people show it and some people don't. And I'm not saying one is correct and the other is wrong. But to be able to be that open and, you know, be that honest and real with everybody watching you, I think is really brave. And it's important, and it's something that I'm personally trying to work on. I feel like in my videos, I don't really share that much about my feelings or my emotions, generally speaking. And generally about like my private life outside of studying and medicine and things like that, because I really value my privacy. And then from the emotional aspect, because it's a very hard thing to do. It is very hard to be that vulnerable. Earlier in this podcast, I mentioned that I'm really only able to open up emotionally, seriously, to my girlfriend. And I literally can't do it with anybody else. Even with her, sometimes it's hard. And I do think that comes from how I was raised. And, you know, my dad always telling me, you're the man of the family. You take care of your mother and your sister, and you have to be strong for them and make sure they're okay and this and that. And it's something that I'm definitely trying to work on. I think being able to cry when you need to cry is something that you should do. And it's something that I struggle with. Like, we were having this conversation with a couple of friends some weeks ago. And one of the girls in the group brought up the question. She's like, when was the last time everybody cried? And for me, it was 2017. And I remember very clearly why I cried. And it was a difficult time. But the point is that since 2017, there's been plenty of times where I've wanted to cry and express my emotion to different people around me. But I've just found it extremely, extremely difficult. And I haven't, you know, and I haven't cried since 2017.
Wow.
Maybe I'll have a cry after this podcast. But yeah, it's something I'm actively trying to work on. I think that, you know, we don't do it enough. And so I'm saying, like, I think it's really great that you do that, and it's really brave.
Thank you. And definitely one thing that I've learned, and hearing your experience with your emotion and hearing other people's experiences and their feelings towards sharing emotions, what I want everyone to know, and by all means, I'm not an expert in this, but I've seen that everyone handles their emotions so differently. And just because I cry and that's the way I release things, if that's not the way that you find release, then that's okay. And not everyone needs to process things the same. And I think I want to share a comment that I got from a subscriber who actually criticized me for doing this a long time ago. He really came hard down on me about crying and you'll never make it, all of those things. And he came back actually 3 months later, and I screenshotted the comment because it was very impactful. And he apologized for being so mean. And he was like, I was in a point in my life where I didn't understand how to process my emotions, and I was really just criticizing you for it, and that wasn't fair, and I'm actively working on it, and I wanted to thank you for sharing. And I don't form bad feelings towards anybody, but I forgave him for how he treated me, and I really appreciated how strong he was to come back and say, I made a mistake.
Yeah, there was absolutely no need to come back and leave a comment. That's quite powerful.
It was. So.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of sort of those, as you said before, criticism comments, do you find that they affect you in a negative way at all? Do you find that you ignore them? They don't bother you? What's sort of your relationship with, air quote, criticism comments in your videos or on your videos?
Like I said, I don't get a lot, and some are completely invalid and just kind of trolls, and some are hit a little deeper. And the way I keep most of them up, unless I think that they're just too toxic for other people to read, and I don't want people to come to my videos and come to the comments and see something negative and just make them not feel good. And so I usually will remove some of them, but others that I leave, if the person just seems really just trying to destroy my character or whatever it may be, I leave them a comment and I'm like, hey, love you. I hope you're doing well. Just to make sure, like, are you okay? Like, check in for a second. I want you to be okay.
That's
and
probably
reflect
like
on...
the biggest insult for them.
I don't want it to feel that way, but I worry.
Yeah.
I worry. And I want to know that they're doing okay. Like, please take care of yourself.
Nice.
So,
It's interesting because I feel like I have a similar thing with criticism comments on my channel. I don't write them saying I love you and are you okay. What I do is I send them that emoji where there's like a ghost with a yellow and blue face looking really shocked, like
yeah.
That's my favorite thing to do. The satisfaction that I get from sending a comment like that, oh my goodness, it cracks me up.
Because they didn't get a reaction from you, essentially.
Yeah. It's so funny. And like what I'm very thankful for, and I always try and remind myself of, is that like I really like who I am as a person. I'm really confident in the actions that I do and why I do them. And so when somebody leaves me a negative comment, I read every single one and I treat them the same way, in the sense that I listen to what is being said and then I make my judgment or whatever on it. But, you know, the vast majority of those comments, I'm just like, okay. And I just like move on with my life, you know?
Yeah.
Because I know who I am as a person. I know how I act and how I treat people, interact with people, and yada, yada, yada. And so, yeah, I find it really difficult for those comments to get to me. Something that would get to me is like, I met you yesterday at the train station and you're a really bad person. That would crush my soul, you know? Oof. That would crush my soul. I would hope that I would never, ever even come close to that. But I'm saying something like that would hurt me, but
absolutely,
hopefully would never happen.
Yeah. And I think this kind of goes with, I think that if you are going to put yourself online, I think that you have to know that, to expect that and to be able to tolerate that, because it could really negatively impact your daily life. And if we just carry these things with us, you just go down a spiral. And to be strong and secure with yourself and to love who you are is so important with anything that you do.
Yeah, I feel like once you accept yourself for who you are and you try to take other people's thoughts and opinions of you less into account, I feel like every other facet of your life improves, because you're doing things for yourself. At the end of the day, you're not really doing anything for anybody unless you're doing someone a favor or whatever. But generally speaking, like most things, you're doing life for yourself. Like I'm in medical school for me right now, you know? I'm not doing it for my parents. I'm not doing it for my sister or for my peer in medical school. At the end of the day, like I'm doing all this because I want to do medicine and I love medicine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so, yeah, I feel like once you realize that and you break yourself free of the chains that are other people's opinions and viewpoints and things like that, you just have a lot of an easier time.
Absolutely, I agree. I completely agree.
Okay. And then last thing to talk about, Rachel, and then I'll let you go.
Okay.
And this question is coming from a bit of a selfish point of view. Okay. I want to know this, but we'll pretend it's for everybody listening. So, Rachel, how do you deal with or think about the process of uploading a video to YouTube that doesn't, quote unquote, perform as well as you might have thought it would, or doesn't receive the same amount of positive feedback as maybe another video that you've done? How do you like handle those emotions? How do you move on from it, if you move on from it at all?
I knew you were gonna ask me this. I don't know. It's just I struggled with this. I think I even talked to you maybe about this at some point, but I do have a fear of the algorithm, and I fear not doing well and not putting out that video that does well. And I never was a view chaser or kept track of numbers, but I used to see how my videos were doing and see if there was, what I would read all the analytics. I got kind of toxic with that, and I had to stop. I don't look back. Once I post a video, I look at the comments. I don't look at the analytics unless I accidentally come across how my video is doing. I just find it toxic, and not every video that I put out is going to do well. And I think that vlogging on a daily basis, people can get sick of it. People can find it repetitive. And so not every video will do well. And some weeks are not exciting at all. And I wonder why even one person watches it. But I don't look at the views. I don't look at how they do. I just post it and I move forward and I move to the next thing, because for me, it can't be about performance with it. As long as I'm having fun with it, as long as what I edit and what I put out I'm proud of, then I don't care about the views anymore. At least I let it go.
It's funny, everything you say I have said out loud before. When people have asked me this question or this topic has come up, I've said all those things out loud, and I definitely believe them. However, comma, when I post a video that ranks 10 out of 10 on the analytics thing, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
It genuinely crushes my soul. And I know that it doesn't matter. And like, really, this video will come and go and I'll move on to the next one and it doesn't matter. However, when I see that 10 out of 10, it crushes my soul. And it is difficult for me to move on from. The last 2 times that it happened in December, I went on like a streak, except it was a bad streak, not a good streak. I went on a streak of posting videos that were ranking 9, 10, 10, 8, something like that. And I was just like, what is happening? Like, why is this happening? Do people not like the videos? What's going on? And I was just entering this negative spiral. And that's another thing that caused me to take my break at the or in the beginning of January. And yeah, I still find it difficult. And I do what you said. I try my very best not to look at it unless it's by accident. But like, I've memorized on average how many views I get per hour when the video gets launched. I know how many comments there should be, how many likes there should be, quote unquote.
I know.
So it doesn't take a lot of like thinking to be like, oh, is this above or below the average? I know.
I know.
So yeah, it is really difficult. It is really difficult.
I totally get it. I'm right there with you. And I think it's hard. And seeing that 10 out of 10, which honestly lately have been a lot of my videos, because people are sick of seeing me in the same room. I'm sick of being in the same room.
Yeah. Preach it.
Yeah, it hurts. It does hurt. And to know how much time we put in to edit, because a lot of people I don't know how long it takes for you to edit your amazing, magnificent videos, but a 10-minute vlog, 15-minute vlog is like 6 hours.
Yeah,
just
it takes
edit
so
that
long.
Small thing, just for very simple editing. And to see it do poorly, or to think that it's quote unquote a banger, like your videos. I'm like, oh, I think this, like, Nasir would think this is a banger, and I'm like, I put it out, and I'm like, I'm the only person who thinks this is good, and it hurts. It crushes my entire soul and my creative.
It does, doesn't it? My goodness.
I'm just gotta like wash my hands, and we'll do it next week, and it might happen again, it might not.
Yeah. Like a good and a bad thing at the same time of me is, I think every video is a banger. I'm like, every video I put, when I hit upload, I'm like, this is the one. Like, this is going to do even better than the previous. It's going to bang. And obviously that doesn't happen. But I have faith in myself. And every video I put out, I'm like, yes, I did that new edit. Or I loved how this ended. Or I loved that transition. Something about it, I'm like, yes, that was very good. Hence, this is a banger. But no, I try not to say every video is a banger on my Instagram stories, because then people aren't going to believe me. But yeah.
Yeah, you say it, and I'm like, okay, if he thinks it is, then by all means, let's go check it out. So it's exciting.
Yeah, and for everyone listening, please know and be 100% confident in the fact that my next video is an absolute banger, okay? The video dropping this Thursday is incredible.
Oh, shoot.
And the vlog following it, they're incredible. I'm really, really proud of them. And I've had more time. I've had more time to work on them because, I've taken this break. And so, yeah, it hasn't been that one week turnaround time, which is nice.
Good for you.
All right. I think bangers is a good place to end this on. Rachel, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Really, thank you so much. I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was so fun. I'm believe it or not, I feel like after all this time we've known each other, we haven't like talked. So this is really nice, and I really appreciate you taking the time and inviting me on here. It's been great.
Absolutely. It goes without saying to subscribe to Rachel's YouTube channel, youtube.com/Rachel Southard, and also follow her on Instagram, instagram.com/Rachel Southard.
Rachel Southard.
Okay.
Yep.
Rachel also takes every Instagram photo with the DSLR camera, which is absurd.
Except my most recent, like, two. Oh.
Which is mad. I wish we had time to talk about that, but next time when you come back on.
Yay.
Guys, if you're listening, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please do let me know in a comment down below. If you have any suggestions or feedback, let me know in a comment down below, or you can send an email to the brand new email I'm about to describe right now. It's KharmaKast@gmail.com. That's hey, KharmaKast, just like the name of this channel and this podcast. So yeah, please feel free to send absolutely anything there. If you hated it, let me know. If you loved it, let me know. Anything at all, I would love to hear from you. And that's it for me. Rachel, any last words?
No, just thank you. This has been a real banger.
I hope so. 10 out of 10 on the analytics.
Yes. No. Please not 10 out of 10.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. And I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Okay.
All right. So your camera's on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll start by clapping. So just so you know what's coming, I'm going to play this song. And I'm just going to say, what is up, guys? Nasir here, and welcome to the KharmaKast. And then I'm going to give an intro about Rachel. Don't worry, it's all good stuff about you being a blogger in the US and things like that. And then I'm going to say, welcome to the show. And then we'll just begin from there, I guess.
Okay. Oh, and how do you want me to call you? Do you want me to call you KharmaMedic or no?
Nasir's fine.
Okay.
Nasir, Nasir, either one is okay with me.
Are we clapping for the sound or for?
No, I'm clapping for us. I felt like that was excellent.